Hi there, I'm Charlie and welcome back to Spooky Season. Today I will be sharing with you one of my favourite spooky stories. This is a story I learned growing up that was so popular amongst the family that all 12 of us could practically say it in unison. And since then I have shared it with absolutely everyone who would listen to me. With that in mind, I thought I would share with you the scary tale, Don't Touch the Pink Gorilla. Once upon a time, a man was driving down a highway when he noticed a sign in the corner of his eye. A billboard way in the distance that he couldn't quite make out, but on approach he saw that it had the words, "Don't touch the pink gorilla." As he continued down that road, in the distance he noticed a dirt track he had never come across before. Next to it was a similar, although smaller sign, reading, "Don't touch the pink gorilla." Without even thinking, he turned off the road onto this dirt track and drove along it, seeing nothing until the path came to a dead stop. With nowhere further to drive, he got out of his car and started looking around. It wasn't long until he stumbled across a mostly overgrown path in the grass next to a small wooden placard. Do you know what it said? "Don't touch the pink gorilla." This one had a small arrow etched underneath, pointing the direction of the partially overgrown path. With curiosity fueling him, he began to walk that lonesome path. Eventually he found himself at a rickety wooden bridge. While examining the bridge, he realized that the water it was crossing contained some of the most vicious and deadly sharks he had ever seen. While of course there was a voice in his head urging him to return, he could not get that pink gorilla out of his mind, and he continued ever further. Step by step along the creaking planks of the old wooden rope bridge. As he got to the other side, he was greeted once again by a small sign reading, "Don't touch the pink gorilla." And yet he trudged further on down these overgrown paths, covered in grass and dirt and stones. His path was eventually blocked by a pit. The pit lay in front of him with a single wooden plank for him to carefully, very carefully, edge his way across to reach the other side. Halfway across this plank, despite himself, he looked down and he saw the writhing pile of snakes, scorpions, and spiders just below that plank. He gathered himself, pushed carefully onwards until he felt the same safe, firm ground beneath his feet. Once more he found a sign, "Don't touch the pink gorilla." After coming so far and braving such unusual conditions, he felt no choice but to continue further. As he walked ever further along the path, he reached a third, final barrier. A pit once again lay before him like a crack in the earth. However, for some reason, one he could not explain, it contained a belly of fire with only a rope suspended somehow above him for him to grab onto and swing across the flames, hoping to reach safety on the other side. Gathering all of his strength, he held onto that rope as tight as he could and swung over the flames, the heat warming him before he managed to find himself safely on the ground on the other side. Finally, the path started to clear. Walking across, it became less overgrown, more well-kept, until he reached a beautiful carved stone archway where the path itself turned to paving. Carved within the archway, what seemed like an ancient script, those same words, "Don't touch the pink gorilla." With no desire to go back the way he came, he continued on the now paved path in front of him, every step making the walk easier compared to the journey he had faced. He finally approached a magnificent building, the likes of one he had never seen before, the entrance of which was flanked by two life-size suits of armor, motionlessly standing guard. As he crossed the threshold past them, he realized he was entering a gallery of some kind. An ornate, beautiful gallery filled with sculptures and paintings and long-forgotten relics. As he found himself walking through the labyrinth-like display of works of art so priceless and so rare, he lost all sense of why he was there in the first place. As he wandered ever deeper into this elaborate gallery, he finally entered the final room. A huge, cavernous room full of ancient sculptures, the largest of which was a magnificent, intricately carved, enormous grey gorilla as such. At this point, all previous warnings from those signs had left his mind. After all, this was made of stone, no pink inside. While examining the intricacies of the carvings, the minute details, he was overtaken by the pure majesty of the artwork in front of him. As he leaned in closer to get a better look at some of the smaller details, his hand, resting at his side, lightly brushed the edge of the stonework. In an instant, the great beast came to life, sprung out from its pose, a vision in pink. This giant, huge, unbelievable pink gorilla sprung to its feet and began to chase him. And so he ran. He ran as fast as he could out of that cavernous room full of ancient sculptures. He ran as fast as he could through the spiraled labyrinth of this incredible gallery. He ran out of the entrance flanked by the life-size suits of armor, and he ran along the paved path to reach the stone archway carved "Don't touch the pink gorilla." And as he ran, he could hear the thunderous crashing of the gorilla chasing close behind, destroying anything in its way. As he ran past the archway and the path reverted to its overgrown nature, he began to realize the reality of what would be facing him before he could get to safety. He ran ever harder, hearing the gorilla behind him as he reached the rope to swing over those flames. Without the time to properly steady himself, he grabbed the rope and swung, desperately trying to reach the other side. His hands had started to sweat, and he slipped, this time having his trousers catch on fire. After crossing the flames, he desperately needed to put the fire out, but he could hear the gorilla behind him, and so he ran. He ran, feeling the warmth burn the flesh of his legs. But the adrenaline kept him going as he heard the thunderous sounds behind him of the pink gorilla. Before he knew it, he was back at the pit with the writhing pile of snakes and scorpions and spiders, crossing that precarious wood plank. He attempted his very best to make it across. However, his still smoldering pants and his increasingly painful leg wound caused him to slip. In his scramble to climb back out of this pit, he got bitten by a snake. He was so lucky to scramble out the other side and manage to stumble his way to that final pit. As he starts to slowly, painstakingly make his way across the rickety rope bridge with the old wooden creaking planks beneath his now very burnt and very damaged feet. One wood plank snapped beneath him. In a moment of terror, he wrenches his legs back through a hole and away from the sharks that are eagerly awaiting his demise below. Somehow he manages to get to the other side and continue on that pathway. He can finally see his car in the distance. He's almost safe, but the pink gorilla is right behind him, easily stepping over those pits that cause such harm to this man. With desperation and all of the adrenaline remaining in his body, he manages to get to his car. As he's trying to reverse up the dirt path and get back to the main road, the gorilla finally catches up to him, scoops up his car, raises it in the air, smashes the window, touches him, and says, "Tag, you're it." So there you have it. That was the tale of Don't Touch the Pink Gorilla. Yes, it is a joke. It is, in fact, a shaggy dog tale, which is my favorite form of joke telling. As I mentioned, this is a story we used to tell each other when I was growing up. It does, of course, evolve and change every time you tell it, as is the nature of shaggy dog tales. But it is a story that I still love and reference to this day. Let me know in the comments if you already knew about the pink gorilla or whether it was a brand new lesson for you. If you liked that video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any more spooky season coming this month. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day and I'll see you all soon. Bye!